Because we're in a situation where we are being conditioned through our environment to have certain beliefs and certain either there is or is not a mechanism that would allow you to either break some of the programming or find a way of sidestepping it or counteracting some of the programming, so that you're not as subject to, and then to ... because the list goes on.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I see a bunch of brain training .coms out there suddenly over the last. Yeah. So the problem is training the brain is not the answer, because what that is micro solutions to a macro problem. So
so you were talking about addressing the root issue, as opposed to symptomatic resolutions.
Exactly. And the problem for me is that the solutions that I have, the trainings that I can offer to get out of the box, you can't jump out of the box, you have to work your way out of the box, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's a long applied practice. The problem is it requires discipline, it requires really conscientious application. You really got to do it and know what you're doing. You got to do it right. And you have to do it every day. Not only every day, but hours a day, in order to get out of the box. So literally, to escape the lead box, the cultural box into which you are forced. You actually grow into it. No, it doesn't.
Because what we're getting at, that it's not a expression of the genotype, of the isness of the thing that started, is not what you're seeing.
Okay.
I mean, the genotype, the genetics, it does affect what we see, but it's external conditioning at this point.
All right, look, you've been conditioned to live as if you're in a box, as if you're a square peg, and I would call it the square peg syndrome. I like that. Is the reason that you have this particular, and then this one is from that today, and then the sociological impact of that. Yes, those are all true, and there's probably a myriad other reasons why those things happen. That's not important. You have you're taught to live in as if you're surrounded by a box, and in fact, it's very visible that if you see the aura of somebody, it's really dark and smoky. Aura of somebody who's been really thoroughly conditioned. Somebody who really misbehaves is called sociopathic or pathological or whatever it might be, or psychotic, and so on. Someone who is disturbed by the environment more than they disturb the environment is called neurotic. Okay? Someone who is not disturbed by the environment is called exceptional. And someone who is not conditioned by the environment doesn't exist. I don't care who it is. Everybody is conditioned by the environment. I don't care who you are. It's just like everybody bows to the Lord of Death. Everybody bows. Everybody must. Even the Lord of Death dies. Oh yeah. Okay, so here's the question you ask. Are you tired of the fact that the environment is running you? Okay, now, let's say they say, yeah, I'm ready. I got to move. I got to do something. Get me free of this thing. Help me get free of this thing. Whatever it is. How do you unlock me? Unbind me from these chains that are suffocating me as a being. Okay, fine. Now, first of all, you have to ask back, what chains specifically are you noticing? What chains do you see? What bindings do you see that you're in? What is binding you and holding you in place? What is binding you? Okay. How deep is that? How profound is that? How deeply ingrained is that? You have to address all that kind of stuff. And that is something you can't do online, and you really can't. And you can't do that as a robot, and you can't do that superficially. And this is the whole point of all this bullshit that I see today, is that people are being promised, press this button and you will be okay. That is so bloody untrue. It just doesn't happen that way. If you're very lucky, after years of work, you can redirect the channels which make up the river. It's a river. It's very, very gouged into where it goes, and you're going to have to try to redirect this river. You're going to try to recut the river. You know what you have to do that? To redirect a river? Because this stuff it's relentless. All the stuff that's happening inside you that is part of the programming, that stuff is relentless. It's not in your control. It's nowhere near your control. And these bullshitters who tell you, oh yes, well, press this button and send us this much money and you'll be in control. That is not true. And the people who also say, well, with your brain, you can redirect the river with your brain power. That's not what brain power is about. That's why it's called B-R-A-N-E, not B-R-A-I-N. Because the physical brain is just a lump of tissue. All it is, it's a muscle. It's not going to help you do anything real.
It's not yours and it's not you.
You use it, but you only use it to pass messages. It's basically your internet connection in a sense. It's your service provider, your email.
The sad truth
is
about
all it is.
Your brain is like getting into someone else's car using their radio. They've set the buttons.
That's right.
You didn't even set the buttons. When you press the third button over, it gives you country and western, not because you set it there. That's how it's set. Yeah. And just because it's happening behind your eyes, or you think it is, you think it's you, and it's not.
Yes, and there's that. There is a point where you say, I'm being run by the environment, and I'm bound in chains. There's an expression, bound in chains, in classical literature, but I'm getting to this idea. It's called Prometheus bound. Actually, it's a concept. What happens is this: you start out as a strong being, as a powerful being. By the time you're 5 years old, you're thoroughly conditioned to live in the society that you happen to be born in. By the time you're 9 years old, you are either convinced that conditioning is beneficent and beneficial, and that it is what you want to happen to you, or you are starting to realize that you're getting a little crowded here and kind of boxed in, and some things are starting to pound at you. By the time you're 13 to 15 years old, you will have a wish to awaken without knowing what it is really or what it is you need to do. By the time you're 22 or 23 years old, if nothing has happened for you in that area, you will, if you are destined to, you will have somewhere a call, a phone call, an email. You've got mail, whatever it is, bing or ding or whatever you set it to, that is so insistent, it goes off so much that finally you answer it. And then you are offered the opportunity to turn your life on or leave it off. Now, there's only one switch, folks. I mean, I'm sorry. I'd like there to be more, but there isn't more. It's the work on, work off. That's what it is. So you turn the switch, and you are responsible to turn it. No one else can flick that switch for you, baby. Oh, no. You are responsible. That's your contract. You do it. No one's going to take the karma for switching you on. Look, you reach over, you turn that switch on. It says on. Okay. It isn't just a matter of going to that switch and turning it on. That's just the agreement part. That just is the thing where you clicked, and it says the user's, the agreement, the user's agreement, and you have to, if you want to register, yeah, and then you got to scroll all the way down and say apply, save, and so forth. Then it says, are you sure? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. All right. Are you sure? Once again, yes. Should I go ahead? Yes. Really? Yes. Okay. Press the button. All right. Bam. Now that's 15 years of your work, 15 years of your life. Conditioning, look, oh man. It has taken, just for this lifetime's conditioning, how long have you been alive? Give me some years. How do you reach out or redirect your energies? Because you need to do that. So you're retraining yourself, and you're retraining yourself bit by bit, a little at a time. You can't do it all at once, because guess what will happen? If handling the issue of being the effect of the environment is not as easy as some would like to make it. It's not as simple as some would like to make it, actually. In a way it is simple, but it's simple in a complex manner, because each thing is simple in itself, but you have to know the whole picture in order to be able to redirect the river. You've got to be able to know how to do it. Basically what you're going to do, so you need someone who is intuitive and who can actually sensitively psych out where an individual could break out of the box. And boy, I tell you, it is so individual. It's so individual. I can think of, for instance, Eric. There's two Erics on right now, I think. So one Eric, there's two Erics. So one Eric will greatly benefit from a concept of regeneration of Earth and direct to Earth farming and Earth management in that sense, elementals in that sense, Earth elementals. And another Eric will benefit greatly from the air elementals. As an entrepreneur. See, so there's different strokes for different folks, and you can quote me on that. I love that. This happens periodically in history. That's one of the reasons I would like you to get a larger picture, get a little bit bigger footprint, so you can see that. That's about you. Get a larger picture, so you can actually see how many times has this ever happened before. Thousands, millions of times. You've seen this before many, many times. This is nothing new. You need to free yourself from all bondage of space and time, not just human bondage.